Take a moment to imagine the daily life of a colonist settling in New England when America was in its infancy. 8 months of the year are spent preparing for the brutality of winter, stocking up like squirrels gathering acorns, and realize that absolutely nothing productive is likely to be possible when the snow is piling up outside. The cellar is packed with salted pork, fermented beverages, and perhaps even cannabis, psilocybin mushrooms harvested from cow patties, and even some Amanita muscaria mushrooms. Regardless of how many acorns and treats have been squirreled away, cabin fever sets in after some time. A plan is hatched to cure the cabin fever. Bells are placed on a one-horse open sleigh so that your neighbor knows as you approach that you are not a home invader. Only a terrible home invader would jingle all the way to their victim's home. The neighbor greets you with salt pork and beverages of his own making before you set out together to visit the next neighbor over, thus beginning a mobile pub crawl in a self-driving mode of transportation that can get you home safely, regardless of your blood alcohol level. This was the cure for colonial cabin fever. This was the way to fast forward through 4 months of frozen misery in New England, before they even had the means to clear snow from roadways. A band of friends singing as they approached the homes of their fellows to announce, "We come in peace, and we brought a fat sack of snacks and intoxicants." In the tapestry of human tradition, few practices are as universally recognizable, yet as deeply misunderstood as the act of Christmas caroling. Far from the sanitized, harmonious door-to-door singing that characterizes the modern incarnation, the roots of this practice lie in the raucous, hedonistic celebrations of ancient agrarian societies. These communities, bound to the rhythms of the earth and the cycles of the seasons, found in the depths of winter not a time for solemn reflection, but for a vibrant, albeit necessary, escape from the confines of societal restraint, a rebellion against the winter's darkness with the warmth of human joy and intoxication. The tradition of wassailing, a precursor to modern Christmas caroling, embodies this spirit of defiance against the bleakness of winter. Originating from the Old Norse ves hael and the Old English wes thu hael, meaning be thou hail or be whole, wassailing was an exercise in communal merriment and well-wishing. But it was also a ritual of survival, both physically and spiritually, during the darkest months of the year. Villagers would gather, often with bells on their horses, and embark on a nomadic pub crawl, visiting homes and alehouses to share drinks, songs, and stories, blurring the lines between the sacred and the profane, the holy and the intoxicated. This ancient practice of wassailing, with its emphasis on communal intoxication and revelry, served as an early battleground in the war on free will and human consciousness, which would later be rebranded as the war on drugs. The authorities of the time, whether tribal chieftains or feudal lords, often viewed such unfettered expressions of joy and communal bonding with suspicion. The act of letting one's horse guide the way home while the rider was lost in a haze of ale and camaraderie was not merely an early example of trusting in the autonomy of non-human companions. It was a profound statement of trust in the natural order, in the community, and in one's own right to experience joy unfettered by the constraints of sober propriety. As the centuries rolled on, and as agrarian societies gave way to industrial and post-industrial realities, the war on free will and human consciousness took on more insidious forms. The institutionalization of religion, the rise of the nation-state, and the evolution of social norms began to codify what was acceptable behavior, especially concerning altered states or intoxication and merriment. The hedonistic, communal roots of wassailing and caroling were sanitized, repackaged into the more palatable, controlled form of Christmas caroling we recognize today. A far cry from its origins as a defiant assertion of joy in the face of winter's oppressiveness. Yet the legacy of these ancient practices endures as a reminder of humanity's innate desire for freedom, for communal joy, and for a connection to something greater than oneself, be it nature, the divine, or the collective human spirit. It challenges us to reconsider the boundaries we've constructed around acceptable forms of consciousness and revelry, inviting us to question who benefits from these restrictions and who does not. In tracing the origins of Christmas caroling back to its hedonistic roots, we uncover a thread in the fabric of human history, a persistent struggle against the forces that seek to curtail our freedoms, to dull or enhance our senses, and to dictate the terms of our happiness. Unsurprisingly, the Puritans and British alike found this activity of getting wasted and singing in the streets with friends while you trust your horse to get you home like an Uber driver to be undignified. For a period of time, caroling was made out to be an activity for outlaws. In 1647, the Long Parliament, under Puritan influence, passed legislation effectively banning the celebration of Christmas. This period of suppression lasted until the restoration of the monarchy in 1660, when Charles II was restored to the throne, and many of the traditional Christmas celebrations, including caroling, were revived and became popular again. Perhaps this, the unrecognized beginning of the war on drugs, and historians need to stop giving Henry Anslinger so much credit. This exploration is not merely an academic exercise, it is a call to reclaim our right to celebrate, to be merry, and to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, in defiance of those who would wage war on our free will and consciousness. As we move forward, let us carry with us the spirit of the wassailers, a testament to the enduring human capacity for joy, even in the coldest, darkest nights. The transformation of Christmas caroling from its hedonistic, communal roots into the more subdued, harmonious practice it is today marks not just a cultural evolution, but a significant shift in how societies have sought to control and direct the expressions of joy and community spirit. This shift is emblematic of a broader, more profound war on free will and human consciousness, a war that has sought to tame, to domesticate the wildness of the human spirit that finds expression in such acts of communal celebration. The institutional efforts to curb the raw expressions of joy and unity seen in the traditions of wassailing and other similar practices are reflective of a broader attempt to control the spectrum of acceptable human consciousness. This control extends beyond the bounds of seasonal celebrations, infiltrating every aspect of human life. The dichotomy imposed by societal norms, what is deemed acceptable behavior and what is not, serves as a powerful tool in this war, one that has been wielded with precision over the centuries. The mechanisms through which this control is exerted are multifaceted, involving a complex interplay of religious doctrine, legal frameworks, and social etiquette. The Church, for instance, played a significant role in this transformation, co-opting pagan traditions and repurposing them within a Christian context to dilute their original meanings and to bring them under the aegis of church authority. Similarly, the state, through laws and regulations, has sought to dictate when and how people can express joy, especially when such expressions involve the consumption of intoxicants. Yet, despite these concerted efforts, the human spirit has continually resisted. The persistence of festive traditions, albeit in modified forms, is a testament to humanity's innate desire for connection, for celebration, and for the freedom to experience joy unbound by arbitrary restrictions. This resistance is not merely a refusal to conform, but a declaration of the indomitable nature of the human will, a will that refuses to be caged by the dictates of power. To truly understand the implications of this war on free will and human consciousness, one must look to reclaim the roots of these traditions, to understand them not just as quaint customs, but as vital expressions of human nature and communal identity. It involves peeling back the layers of sanitization and control to reveal the raw, unbridled joy and unity that these practices originally embodied. This reclamation is not just an act of historical restoration, but a radical act of resistance against the forces that seek to limit the scope of human experience.